everybody. Hi, everybody. Mitch Jackson, human.social, bringing you Brian Fanzo on our show, The Human Side Interviews. Brian, welcome to the Human Side Interviews. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited for this. I really like the project and mission you're on with human.social, so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Listen, I'm happy you're on the show. I know you're busy. You've got more stuff going on than almost anyone I know on social. Every single day, you're hosting a show, you're a guest on a show, you're doing another project, and it's very impressive. And that's why you're on the show today. We're going to talk today, everyone, with Brian Fanzo. Brian is a digital specialist. He's a partner and chief digital strategist at BroadSuite. And Brian, let me just introduce you a little bit for some people that may not know you. Brian helps enterprise technology companies utilize new technology such as social, cloud, analytics, and other related technological needs for companies to be more productive and more involved on the digital platforms. Brian's just got an amazing amount of experience on the digital platforms in technology, and that's why we brought him on our show today. Brian's also someone who I would consider an expert when it comes to Twitter and Twitter chats. And while Brian does a lot of different things on social, that's what we're going to focus on today during today's show. If Brian enjoys the experience and wants to come back and see us again, then we'll do another show on another topic. But Brian, before we get started, can you share with our viewers, just right off the top, maybe highlight some of the things that I talked about that you do? If they'd like to get in touch with you in case somebody has to run, how can they get in touch with you? And we'll start off with that.
Sure. So thank you for that nice introduction. I'm a technology guy at heart. I went to college for computer science. Really was focused in that arena. I spent 9 years in the Department of Defense deploying and managing cybersecurity and social business tools. So my most of my experience is really with social business, really into technology, and I kind of pivoted my career to focus on social business, employee advocacy, and when I did so, I kind of really embraced and focused on social from a personal brand and how I could build relationships. So when you say I'm doing all those things, it's been a whirlwind of a year. I've had 2014 was amazing for me from a standpoint of I pivoted and was new to the scene, and I had so many great people that reached out and kind of engaged and helped me kind of promote my message and amplify what I was doing. So I'm right now a chief digital strategist over there at BroadSuite. I host a couple of hangouts. We just launched a podcast last month as well. So big fan of finding new ways to have these conversations and really to humanize the conversation and social. And I talk about you often, Mitch, as from a social perspective, as you're a leader in your industry and someone that I would say an industry that hasn't fully embraced social yet. And yet you've created lots of dialogue, lots of conversations. I feel like I know you really well. Talk about your kids and playing football. And I think that's the true essence of social, and I think you're a leading example of what other leaders really need to fall in line behind. So I'm honored to be here.
Well, I'm honored to have you here. Thank you for the kind words, Brian. But listen, you're the expert, not me. I'm just give me a microphone and a camera, and I'm going to let you do all the talking. But let's talk a little bit before we roll over to Twitter and Twitter chats. Let's talk a little bit about the personal side of Brian Fanzo. For example, I feel like I know you also. We follow each other on Instagram, Facebook. I see the pictures of the family, the kids. You're a family guy. I like that. I like your background, military background, security background. You're also a big-time Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Can you share with everyone a little bit more about your background? Why are you such a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and how have you incorporated all of your past experiences into what you're doing today?
I love that question. It's probably my favorite one to talk about. I'm a proud dad. I think I had the 3 greatest days of my life, and their names are Chloe, Kinsley, and Logan. And I have 3 daughters under 5. So that usually surprises people because I'm very lucky to have a wife that supports me as well. And I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh fans are really everywhere, but in the culture there, it's kind of ingrained in you in the sports, and that culture actually has a lot to do with my passion for life and things. As I do everything kind of all in. If I'm going to do it, I believe in doing it all the way. And my parents I was very lucky growing up. I have 2 brothers, and my dad had a family business that was very successful, and almost everyone outside of our tight-knit family assumed that the brothers would come in and take over the family business. We could be successful in life. And my parents instilled really the idea of always being yourself and following your own path. And they never kind of forced that upon us. And actually, all three of us went into different careers, different industries, and none of us went into the family business line. My dad ended up, selling the business off. But really, what the lessons that I learned along the way was really being myself and the value of people and relationships. And one of my favorite stories is that my dad taught us golf because he always told us business and relationships happen on the golf course. And I was on one of the shows that I host, Social Business Hour, and I was actually on there, and my parents are big supporters of mine. I'm very blessed on that side. And my dad was watching live, and he sends me a message and says, "Brian, as much as social is important, email and social will never replace a handshake." And I agreed, and I replied back and said, "Dad, it will never replace a handshake, but it'll turn that first handshake into a hug." And I really have kind of transformed that world because I was raised to, be myself, relate, humanize, be kind, and now being able to do that on a social scale, I'm able to engage with people around the world that I probably never would have before. So yeah, it's the family element, personalizing. When I had to stop worrying about what to share and just started sharing who I was, social became a lot easier for me. And really, my kids are such a big part of my life. That's why if you look at my Instagram, there's lots of pictures of my kids because that's a big part of my life.
Lots of pictures of your kids and also lots of pictures of your Pittsburgh Steeler attire, different hats, different jerseys. You've got the whole family involved. Tell your dad, one of the things that I like about social is it doesn't replace a handshake. Handshakes are much more important, but what it does is it's an avenue for more handshakes. It'll expose you to more people that you're going to, when you and I meet, and we've never met in person, but when we meet at a conference, at a seminar, or something like that, we're going to have dinner and we're going to feel like we've already met 5 or 10 times. And that's one of the really cool things about social. I'm an Arizona guy, born and raised in Tucson. You're up in the Phoenix area, a little too far from the U of A for me, but I'm sure you're comfortable being around ASU. But be that as it may, it's just a great way to start that dance. And one of the things you just mentioned is when we're dealing with professionals, a lot of them are afraid to let their guard down. They're afraid to show that human side of themselves to their customers and to their clients. And one reason I wanted to have you on today is when we're talking about using Twitter, when we're talking about Twitter chats, 140 character communications between one person to another, how are you able to show your human side with so little characters, with 140 characters, and why do you think that Twitter and Twitter chats allow you to do just that?
Sure, no, and I think the 140 characters is intimidating, and partially I'm a big fan of Facebook. I like a lot of the social platforms, but Facebook and LinkedIn to me are connecting and engaging with people I already know, and Twitter allows me to engage with people I don't know yet, but I share a similar passion for sports fans or whatever we're engaging on, and I think that's a big element. But the 140 characters, because instead of focusing on every one of your followers, or even if you have 20 followers, if you focus on one-to-one conversations that you're just having in a public arena, it really makes it a lot easier because you're not really worried about this like perfectly crafted, broadcasted message. You're really having a conversation, and really that's what leads us into the Twitter chat element for me was I was busy. We're all busy. Spending time on Twitter can be a really can be a time suck. You can get really sucked in on, and if you don't have a lot of time, you want to really find value. And the reason I fell kind of for Twitter chats and they really transformed my engagement was during that 1 hour every week, and we'll kind of explain what they are. But some people are actively engaging. You're having full conversations with people, and it's better than an email. It's better than because it's back and forth, and other people jump in, and and the insights and lessons I learn daily on Twitter is amazing. I feel like it is my version of learning and keeping up with the trends, technology, social, even politics and other things that go on, all because of these great conversations that happen in the Twitter public stream.
When you talk about using Twitter and sending your message in 140 characters less, as a lawyer, I'm always concerned about proper grammar, proper punctuation, things like that. Can you describe to our listeners and to our viewers what exactly is a Twitter chat and why is it okay, if it is, not to use proper English, or it's okay to use abbreviations or shortcuts on words? I mean, how does that all play in to being professional, being a CEO of a company yet engaging effectively on Twitter chats?
So, I think part of it is really, being able to tell your story is key. And, you don't want to be an RSS feed or something that's just dropping, useless, no value. So adding your own personalized insights is important, but you have 140 characters, and I often joke that those characters mean a world to me. So, like, if there's a hashtag for an event, and if the World Cup put World Cup 2014, I get frustrated that they didn't say World Cup 14, because then it would have given me 2 more characters, right? So, but I think part of the element of Twitter is that you can be very personalized and very engaged because nobody's forcing you to be there, and we're all there to kind of share and gain value. And the Twitter chats are more so than anywhere else because it is like a family, or I like the quote Cheers there, where everybody knows your name. And so every hour someone hosts, they happen on every topic you can imagine. So from food to business to social media to social business to sporting events. So there was Applebee's was hosting one today called Live Lunch, and they were, as a brand, we're hosting one this afternoon. And really it's a hashtag that everybody gathers around and follows. And so you don't have to follow everyone, and it's usually my answer for the question you always get. Who do I follow, and where can I find people that are going to talk back at me on Twitter? That's usually what the new professionals are saying when they jump online. And these Twitter chats, because you're able to just put the hashtag in and follow the conversation that's happening. And so you'll see the host will put things like Q1 and will ask an open-ended question to the community, and anyone
Let me interrupt you.
Sure.
When you say Q1, what are you referring to?
So question 1. So usually it's over that 1 hour period. Some of them are half hour, but majority of them are 1 hour. They'll have 6 or 7 questions that the host will pose to the community. And really, they're more like questions that shape the conversation, but I don't think they're the only thing that's happening. And there's different elements of Twitter chats. The 2 that I host, I actually added in the Google Hangout element that we're talking on right now. So I actually interview the guests on a Hangout while the chat's going on at the same time. But that's kind of, we kind of took it a step further because I really wanted to highlight the amazing guests that we had on. So I kind of bring them outside the 140 characters per se. So we do that one on our chat. But the Twitter chat element is really the hashtag, and we're all coming around that shared hashtag. And so you can just put the hashtag at the end of your tweet and really say whatever is on your mind. Oftentimes I recommend lurking around. Put the hashtag in and just see how other people are engaging. You've got to kind of get a feel with it. You don't have to answer every question, and there's no rules. Like it's probably the kindest, friendliest element of social media, in my opinion, because everyone knows that you're just there voluntarily. You're using the hashtag, and you're there to help each other, share knowledge or share insights, or hopefully maybe help someone else have a better day. And I think when you get over the worry of what you're sharing or trying to be too perfect, then it gets a lot of fun, and hopefully you'll gain a lot of value out of them.
For professionals that haven't been on Twitter or Twitter chat before, the way I look at it is it's similar to networking. It's like a networking group on a specific issue that doesn't have a dress code. You're using a keyboard to interact with everyone else in the particular Twitter chat, and so it's very comfortable and easy to either watch or participate in, whether you're participating a little or a lot. Now, I've watched you in Twitter chats before, Brian, and it seems to me like you've got multiple chats going at one time with different people. Explain, if you would, to someone that's never been in a Twitter chat, that's interested in being in a Twitter chat, how the mechanics behind it. In other words, are you using some type of platform to manage the Twitter chat, and what are the different things you look at during a Twitter chat in order to stay organized and have a meaningful conversation with more than one person at a time?
So no, those are great questions, and from the Twitter can be overwhelming to begin with, and it's very fast-paced, it's very fire hose. What we love about Twitter is also what overwhelms new people on Twitter. It's because it's very not filtered. It's not as like your news feed on Facebook or other, even in your normal news feed you would have on LinkedIn or such. But the nice thing about what the Twitter chat really allows you to do is, when you're having these conversations, there's a tweetchat.com is one of the ones that I recommend. What is really nice is you only need to care about the hashtag and when people mention you. Those are really the 2 most important things. So when someone replies back to you, they're creating a conversation, and what that turns into is you'll see your name at the beginning of the tweet, and then you hit reply and you have the conversation back. The nice part about tweetchat.com, and there's a couple of the other platforms out there as well, is it actually adds the hashtag on the end for you, And so you can just type in your message back. The other thing nice is it allows you to pause the hashtag stream, so you can slowly go through it yourself, not feel overwhelmed. Some of the chats have a couple thousand tweets during 1 hour, and the idea of pausing the feed has been something. I work with some personal brand coaching, and they say, wow, as soon as I can pause the feed and really scroll through at my own pace, engage, because the conversation is around that 1 hour and that hashtag, but the hashtag is, hashtags are free, nobody owns them. So you can have a conversation around a hashtag for long periods of time. I mean, one of my favorites is, Vala Asfar. He does CXO Talk, and he interviews CMOs and CEOs on Friday afternoons, and it's a hashtag that's used every day throughout the day when people are talking about the C-suite conversation. So you can really just put that hashtag in and see what people are having conversations around it, even outside of the 1 hour Twitter chat window.
And Brian, what is that hashtag? And if someone would like to start this week, and maybe because they're now meeting you, and they'd probably be more comfortable being in a Twitter chat or tweet chat with you. By the way, is it Twitter chat or tweet chat?
I use both interchangeably.
Okay. What would be like the next upcoming Twitter chat that they could participate in with you, and the one you mentioned on Friday? How do they go about connecting on that particular Twitter chat?
Sure. So my Twitter is right there on the screen. iSocialFans, a little play on my last name there. I'm very open. I have a public Google Calendar that actually has 45 Twitter chats that are out there that we'll make sure that are part of the show notes on this event. And I have a little over 6,000 people subscribing to that calendar now. Wow. It was the only way that I could kind of organize the noise, and I decided to share it publicly, and it's been apparently a pretty good resource. But I host Social Business Hour, so the hashtag is the letter S and then BIZ hour, and it's Mondays at 4 p.m. And so feel free to jump in there. Feel free to tweet at me. 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern time, I'm sorry.
4 p.m. Eastern time. And the hashtag is that SBiz hour. You can follow along in it. The nice part about Twitter chats, no matter which ones you find, and a good way to find other ones is just type in the hashtag you'd like to follow, and it doesn't even really have to be a hashtag. Type in a search criteria, so type in whatever your specialty is, and CXO Talk is the one I mentioned that was, it's Vala Asfar and Michael Kringsman. They host that on Fridays that's on Fridays at noon Pacific time, so 3 p.m. Eastern time, and that one's a great hashtag. It's CXO Talk. They do a video interview, and you can just kind of chat along. They ask for questions to the guests. You can ask your own questions. So feel free to tweet at me if there's ones. I get lots of requests from, hey, Brian, I would love to have a blog about, or I'd love to find a tweet chat about PR. And usually it's as easy as me typing in a PR hashtag and seeing what people are talking about. And eventually you'll see something that will revolve around a Twitter chat. And that website that I gave, tweetchat.com, they actually have a calendar widget in there as well that you can actually search and see some of the common hashtags that are used for some of the Twitter chats that exist.
So if someone, I've had another lawyer once mention to me, well, I want to do a Twitter chat, but I don't have, I'm not even on Twitter, I don't have any followers. So am I correct, Brian, that for someone that wants to jump in and get more involved with this, the first thing they do is set up their Twitter account. There's plenty of resources on the internet to show someone how to set up a Twitter account correctly. And then regardless of whether or not they have any followers, they can then use the hashtag and use tweetchat.com to join an existing Twitter chat and start maybe watching and listening and then eventually participating in the chat. Would that be the proper steps to take for someone that's new into this particular arena?
Yes, very much so. That's actually a perfect step-by-step. And the nice part about a Twitter chat, just to put it in perspective, the number of followers you have does not matter, because everyone is talking around the hashtag, and every person is given the exact 140 character space and goes in the news feed. So it doesn't matter if you have a lot of followers, you have one follower. When you're talking around the hashtag, everybody is viewed the exact same way. You're not a larger or more highlighted person in a Twitter chat, and that really kind of opens you up also to find other people to follow, because if they're also chatting about the same topic, more than likely when they're not in the chat, they're also sharing content about the same topic. So I often tell people that are looking to say, who do I follow? Find the Twitter chats, engage in it, and then after the Twitter chat, go back and follow some of those people that use that same hashtag.
Have you found that after a Twitter chat, because you're using that to meet someone, to get involved in the same issues, whether it's a community service issue, a legal issue, technology, the stuff that you do. What I found after the fact, and I've only been in a couple, but people start connecting and following each other. In other words, it does help you start that handshake and start that possible new relationship. Would you suggest that maybe Twitter chats are a great way to connect with other people, or are there even better ways on Twitter that you might recommend doing first?
So the hashtag, I think, is very important to really finding people that are talking about a similar topic. You know, everyone can tweet about something, but when you put a hashtag on a tweet, it gives you that search and organized information of just around that one topic. And the key there with the Twitter chats is if people are tweeting about that, they apparently have interest in a very similar topic. So it's my answer almost every time when someone says, how do I build a following, or who do I find to follow? It's when you find the Twitter chat and see who's tweeting about that exact same topic, and then usually you can almost bridge off of that. So then who do they retweet, and then you kind of grow out. And you know, a good example is, you know, people assume, and I think this is something that I didn't do a really good job of storytelling, is the iSocial fans account that I have right now, and the one that I tweet on and I'm very proud of. You know, October of last year, I had less than 2,000 followers. I was very new to the game. I had kind of pivoted, but I was really focused on personal brand growth and building these new relationships, and jumped in a lot of Twitter chats. And the Twitter chats are really where it grew my Twitter follower numbers. It wasn't, you know, me creating amazing content, or really wasn't me, you know, but it was these Twitter chats, because really it is a giving relationship that you build with people, because everyone's there around a common topic. You know, we talk about everything from, you know, influence to, if you're at a food chat and everyone says the best, you know, Vietnamese food that you can have, and everybody's talking about that, and you're sharing openly. You're not doing that because you're forced to do it or you're selling something. And you know, I guess that's the caveat, is you don't really promote or sell yourself in a Twitter chat, which is also kind of refreshing, because the hashtag doesn't have a whole bunch of people telling you to buy their book or promote their thing. Because when you provide value in the Twitter chat, that does the selling for you, because then someone's going to follow you, someone's going to engage you, find out that you have a book to sell, a business to run that makes sense. So really, the Twitter chat almost filters some of that sales marketing noise that exists on Twitter today.
And let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about Twitter chat etiquette. You just mentioned a couple of things. So somebody's coming into a Twitter chat, a new group of people they haven't participated with before. What are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen people make, and what do they need to pay attention to properly engage others in a Twitter chat?
Sure. So it's a really friendly community. So if it's your first chat, even if it's your first chat with that group, oftentimes when it kicks off, it says, everybody introduce yourself. If you say, hey, this is my first chat, I'm excited to be here, something as simple as that.
Now, when you say that, you're saying you type that in.
You type it in, right?
So you type in, hey, hi, Brian, this is Mitch. I'm a lawyer from California. Great to meet you.
Yep. And
go Pittsburgh.
And
All
adding your own insider, like, beautiful day in Arizona today, and excited to be here. You'll get 5 or 6 people commenting back and saying, oh, how's the weather? And it's really open. And some of the etiquette side of it is, it's not the place to sell or drop your links, like I was saying there before. Really, it's all about conversations. Okay. So it's okay to reply back and say, hey, I wrote about that in my book. Just don't put your book link there, because if the person's really curious about it, they'll reply back and say, oh, can I have a link to your book? And then you put it, you reply with a link. And I think some of the other things from like an etiquette perspective is, don't feel overwhelmed that you have to answer every question, or that you even have to answer any of the questions. Oftentimes, when I'm telling someone that gets in there the first time, is reply to people's answers that you like and say, I couldn't agree more. That shows that you're listening and you're engaged, or even it doesn't cost any money to hit the retweet button. And I say that jokingly, but retweeting and favoriting are things that are often really underused at first, because people are hesitant to retweet someone else's content. And I like to think of a retweet as almost like a fist bump, where you're saying, hey, I agree with you, and I want to promote that to my followers. And that's a really great way of not only amplifying their content and kind of saying hi, but it doesn't overwhelm you, because you don't have to tweet any individual characters. You're just sharing that piece to the people that are following you.
I think that's great advice. Can you still see me, Brian?
Yep.
Okay, great advice. What are your thoughts, or can you comment about geographic limitations, if any, using Twitter chats? For example, if somebody's interested in traveling to Europe, Amsterdam, maybe they have a business trip planned to Italy, are there ways they can dive into a Twitter chat taking place regarding that particular region to get up to speed on the products or services, the needs, the local economy, anything like that? Have you had anybody do that, or have you ever done that?
So there are some tools that do proximity-based tweets, and there's some mobile
Okay.
apps that do that. Most of those are used at like events. So if you're at a big conference that's going on, like CES was going on, you could actually only view those people that are in Las Vegas using the hashtag CES. And
Really?
I,
Really?
yeah, and I kind of
Okay.
segue. A Twitter chat is very similar to an event hashtag, and I think more people are actually probably familiar with an event hashtag more so than even a Twitter chat
Can you
to start
explain
off
that to
with.
our viewers,
Sure.
please?
So almost all of the events that you go to today will put a hashtag, and really what they want you to do is they want you to share your insights. And the reason they want you to use the hashtag is they don't follow everyone, but they want everyone to have a home for that content that they're sharing from this event. So every time you put that hashtag in there, everyone who's following that hashtag along can see that content. And a lot of the events today, I work with some of them as well, is they actually share that content on public forums. They share it on big screens. They give awards out for who had the most retweeted tweet. Because really, it's connecting that offline audience to the digital audience. Because I like to say I attend a lot of conferences a year, most of them not in person. Because I'm able to engage with people that are there actively at the event by watching a hashtag. So some of them, CES. If you put CES in this past week, you would have seen every person that was tweeting about that event without having to follow or know the tech people that were at that computer electronics show that was going on. And so events are very much like that. So one of the things I would recommend for travel is there's lots of travel chats and travel blogs that are really good on Twitter. So just putting in travel and the name of the region that you're traveling to, you'll get a lot of great people to follow on Twitter for that as well.
When you talk about the events, attending an event with a really heavily promoted Twitter chat taking place, let's just say it's the CES in Vegas. Am I correct in understanding, and I've never been in this environment, that for people in the audience who are tweeting using their smartphones and listening to a speaker and tweeting out tips and notes and things like that, are you able to also, as an event organizer, have displayed on a big screen this live Twitter interaction that's taking place, so you can actually see the tips and notes on the screen while the event's taking place?
You sure can, and you can even bring in insights. Some of the events I was at this past year actually brought in questions from the Twitter group that were watching the live stream. And one of the best at it is, I like to say, Jay Bear. Jay Bear does a lot of content marketing, a lot of marketing presentations, and he is the perfect digital speaker in this age. He even crafts his presentation slides so they're tweetable, because you'll see everybody bring up their phone to take a picture and then share it out there. And so he uses very colorful slides and very nice big text with his hashtag and his Twitter handle on every slide. So every picture that someone tweets out during his presentation has his logo on it, his elements. And these events really now are getting really good at connecting those audiences. And they even create events and campaigns. I was at one, and it was at a Hilton hotel. And the Hilton hotel actually were part of the event, because you could go around on breaks and take pictures and use the hashtag at the event. And if you did it at certain areas in the hotel, they would give you gift cards, or they would give you free stays. And so it really does give you a way to bond, not only connect with the digital people that aren't there, but everybody's in the same building watching one presentation, but you're all kind of having a conversation and kind of paying attention together. It's really fun. These new way of these digital conferences, some people it's tough to understand that everybody's like looking down while the person's presenting, but I think if they're not looking down in today's day and age, you're probably not saying anything of value they want to share. So it's something it's something that you kind of have to embrace, and people like Jay Bear do an amazing job at that when they're presenting.
So what I'm hearing is, with using Twitter, with using the hashtags, with using Twitter chat integrated into your event, whatever that event may be, small or large, it allows for more engagement, it allows for more activity, maybe even more enthusiasm by the participants. And and by the way, you mentioned Jay Bear. I'd love to have him on the show sometime. I know you know Jay. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but he's also an Arizona Wildcat. I don't know if you know that.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we probably have some similar memories out of Tucson, Arizona. But can you give him a shout out as far as if somebody wants to connect with Jay, because he does a really great job on content marketing, and the information he puts out is excellent. How can somebody connect with Jay if they're interested in doing so?
So Jay Bear he's a great leader, a friendly guy, really nice guy. And I'm happy to connect, and I'm sure he'll take you up on the offer. He's just a really good guy. Actually, his book is really they're spot on right there as we're talking. Utility is a book that I read. It changed how I looked at content. But he's the CEO over at Convince and Convert, but it's just at Jay Bear, Baer on Twitter, and he's openly engaged, great social business leader. He practices what he preaches. If you were looking for a quick piece of content, he does a show called Jay Today. Every day he posts a 3-minute video, and it's just him on one topic, and it covers a range of marketing, social, business-oriented things. But it's great. I don't miss it. Every single day I watch that 3 minutes because I think it's amazing that he can provide that much amazing insight every day, because I don't think I have that great of things to say in that element. But he really believes, and in his book he talks about turning your content into a utility, because he believes that by helping and giving free value, that in turn they're going to see a relationship and then do business with you. And Jay's someone that I've looked up to from a standpoint of how he does social, how he kind of is reinventing the wheel, along with a couple of Ted Rubin and Brian Kramer, a couple of those guys that are really doing a great job of building relationships and humanizing social media. But yeah, Jay Bear's he's a must follow on all platforms. And if you can see him present, I had the pleasure of watching him 5 times last year at different events, and each time it was a different conversation, and each time I left there thinking I had too many notes to even implement, because he really provides some great value, even if you're not in marketing.
Yeah, the book Utility you just held up earlier is an outstanding book that also opened my eyes a little bit. That's what we were trying to do anyway, was just help and provide value. But it did offer some specific ideas from other industries that we brought into the legal profession. So I agree 1,000%. It's a great book. Everybody should pick up. Real quick on hashtags, I'm in charge, Brian, this year, along with a couple other guys, of helping promote our local high school, Danny Hills High School football, and community engagement, build up the program, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things we're doing this year is at the games, we'll be using our hashtag, which is hashtag DHFootball for Danny Hills Football. During the games, we want fans to share their favorite photo of a player, of a play, of the best-looking fan sitting to their right or to their left. And at the end of the third quarter, we're going to have our Danny Hills Dolphins social media guys and gals going through the stream, picking out our favorite photo, and then offering dinner for 2 or dinner for 4 to whoever just to create excitement, like what you're talking about. But we want people to start posting photos and stories on the different platforms using a particular hashtag just for the engagement purposes. So you can have some fun with this, not only in the office, but out in the community, whatever you're doing.
That's so great. I mean, I can smile more. My wife's a high school teacher, and getting that community feel at an event like that and the hashtag gives you that opportunity. I think one of my tips a lot for events is put the hashtag everywhere. You don't even really have to tell people to use it, but when they see it on signs, they see it on things that are going on, it allows them to connect. It's funny how even at one of my favorite ones was the World Cup. I wouldn't consider myself a social expert, but I followed the World Cup feed and was amazed how much things I learned about the game, the history, and these weren't people that I followed, but these were people that were using that hashtag. And so live events like a football game, I'm so excited to hear that, because I've actually seen, even on, the nice thing about a hashtag as well is it really transcends just beyond Twitter as well, and it can be used on other places, and there's a much broader tool to kind of manage that, but it also kind of gives it's almost your community branding the conversation in the community, and it almost becomes like a badge of honor that if you're at an event or you're at somebody and you're tweeting with this hashtag, it's like a way of humble bragging that I'm there, and it's kind of with this generation that we're at. I think it's a great thing to do. I think I'm excited to hear that you're doing that, and I will follow and retweet some of that stuff for you guys, because that's exciting.
Oh yeah, no, and you said your wife's a high school teacher?
Yeah, she's a teacher. She teaches high school geography and history. She took off this year to stay home with the 3 kids, but she 2 master's degrees and a high school geography and history teacher.
So the 2 of you would have a good appreciation for some of the challenges that we have with doing this 6-page game plan to build the program, engage the community, and also we have the need to keep our expenses to a minimum. That's the challenge right there. But what we've done is the hashtag is DHFootball, and it's for Danny Hills Football. we've changed the website URL to DH Football. Everything's DH Football now. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. It's really coming together, and I agree with you. The kids are getting excited. The students are getting excited. The teachers are getting excited with what we're doing here, and I think, you know, over the next couple of years it's going to be really, really exciting. Let's do this. I twisted your arm and got you to promise me 30 minutes. We're probably about there. Before we sign off, Brian, can you share with us a little bit about, I know you've got a publication on SlideShare about Twitter. If you could share that, and then talk a little bit about Storify and how we can use Storify to share our prior Twitter chats, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, so you know, I have a couple resources out there for Twitter chats. I started making them myself because I was actually building my team at the time to get them to leverage Twitter chats, and this was even before I hosted 2 of my own now. And really, there's lots of things out there from which kind are really my favorite ones, which hashtags, what nights they're on. So those are all up on my website as well. And we'll make sure that address is out there in the show notes. But from a standpoint of, you know,
give me the website address.
Okay, sure.
Right now.
Sure, it's isocialfans.com, and actually I was smiling when you were saying the name across the board that's something I preach across all personal branding that I do, is you have to be easy to be found, because if not, you're adding one more roadblock, one more step. And I even recommend people using first name, last name as their Twitter handle, although I didn't do it, and it's because by the time I realized the value of that, I was a little further down the road. So, but my website everywhere across every social platform is isocialfans as well. So isocialfans.com/Twitter chats, and I have all of my content up there on that. And you asked about Storify, and Storify is a website that allows you to plug in a hashtag and see all of the conversations that were going around on that hashtag. And it's kind of nice because not everyone can participate for the full hour or even participate in the middle of the day. The 2 Twitter chats that I host are Monday at 4 p.m. and Thursday at noon. And I know those aren't the greatest times for the professionals, so we get 300, 400 views a week on our Storify afterwards, because what it is it puts in sequential order the tweets that happened with that hashtag. So it doesn't, it takes out all of the other noise, and it's actually a great, and I didn't think of this before until you asked it, so I'm going to add it to my training on Twitter chats, is that if you're overwhelmed by the Twitter chat as it's happening, don't worry about trying to catch up on all it. Do that on the Storify afterwards, because the Storify, you scroll through, you see the question, and you see other people's answers, and you kind of get a flow and a feel of what goes on. So Storify is really good. Some really good companies do some really good things as far as organizing that noise around the hashtag. And I'm sure, you know, with the hashtag with the football game, just organizing everybody's pictures they posted on Instagram into one display using, you know, Storify would be a really cool thing to see, because you'll see every single person at the football game that posted a picture with their hashtag all in one screen.
Dude, Brian, that is awesome. I didn't even think, I know about Storify, I didn't even think about incorporating that to the football team. What a great idea. Thank you, sir. Just don't send me a bill, okay?
No, sir. No, I appreciate the honor. I love hearing what you're doing. I've been excited to, you know, engage and get to know you, and we've connected, like I said, via social, and it's been an awesome relationship.
Well, Brian, thanks for your time today. The pleasure's been all mine. I'm sure the pleasure's been all of our viewers, and the information you shared with us today is just awesome. I really appreciate it. I wish I could think, and I wish I could talk as fast as you do, and I don't want our viewers to be intimidated by that. I've been involved on Twitter and Twitter chats, and the pace is a little bit slower. I mean, it is totally doable, and I like your idea about using Storify to basically go back after the fact, or if I'm in court and I don't have time to join one of your Twitter chats, I can go back later and plug into that service, and it's free for me to look at it and just see exactly what happened, and then follow up directly with somebody if I have questions about the resources or the information that was discussed. Real quick, Brian, before I let you run, let me just share with everyone, this has been human.social. This is the human side interview, where we get to know a little bit more about the human side of our guest. And next week, I've got the social media professor, Nicholas Meir. He's the marketing and social media professor here at Chapman University in Orange County, California. But what's cool, Brian, is he's traveling, and he's going to be joining me from Prague through Google Hangouts in there. So that's kind of cool. And on the 27th, we've got Peg and Guy Kawasaki and Peg, is it Fitzpatrick?
Fitzpatrick, yep.
Fitzpatrick. will be joining me on the Human Side interviews, and they're going to be talking about their awesome new book, The Art of Social Media. I don't know if you've probably read it. It's just yeah, awesome book. So that should be fun. But Brian, thank you very much for your time. And once again, if anyone would like to connect with you and follow up for any of the reasons that we've discussed today, once again, can you just share with us the website they can go to connect with you and say hi?
Sure, it's isocialfans.com, and even one better, I can almost promise engagement back if you tweet at me even with no followers. Tweet at me asking for advice at isocialfans, and I'm happy to engage, point you to resources, and share some lists and things so you guys get off and started. The world is a better place the more people get social. I love what you're doing with Human Social. I think you're really putting a human voice behind it, but you're also kind of telling the story as it's going on, as a leading professional. So keep doing what you're doing. If I can ever help, please don't hesitate to ask.
I'm not going to hesitate to ask, and the pleasure's all mine. Brian, thank you very much, my friend. Take care and make today your masterpiece. Adios.
Cheers.